Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Imo State House of Assembly lawmaker Atham Egwim is dead. NPC advises Nigerians not to travel to their state of origin for census. On the foreign scene, ex-student kills 6 people at a private Christian school in the U.S. city of Nashville. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okwayemuni. The lawmaker representing Idiato North constituency at the Imo State House of Assembly, Atham Egwim, is dead. It was gathered that Mr. Egwim died yesterday, just days after he underwent a surgery in Lagos. Until his death, he was the member of the State House of Assembly. He was first elected into the State House of Assembly in 2015 on the platform of All Progressives Congress, APC, and was re-elected in 2019 with the Action Alliance Party. However, contested the House of Representatives seat in the just concluded National Assembly elections under the platform of All Progressives Grand Alliance, but failed. Meanwhile, the National Population Commission says it has put up measures to guard against all forms of malpractices ahead of the forthcoming population and housing census. The Commission also stressed that citizens living away from their states of origin do not need to travel to home for the purpose of the exercise. A spokesperson for the Commission, Isiaka Yahaya, made this known in an interview with the newsman yesterday, adding that people would be enumerated at their places of residence. It further said that everyone will be counted where they reside because that's where they enjoy the social facilities like education and health, among others. And after some political stories, a High Court in Benue State has granted an interim order restraining Iyorchia Ayu from parading himself as the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Justice W.I. Bochi gave the order yesterday while ruling on a motion ex parte filed by Conrad Teide Utan. The case has been adjourned to April 17th for hearing. Earlier, Simon Imobo Swam, the media advisor to national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Iyorchia Ayu, says his principal cannot be suspended by his word. It comes after executive members of Igorov Ward Boko local government area of Benue State passed a vote of no confidence on Senator Ayu over alleged anti-party activities. In the meantime, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Bode George, says the party's national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, will be looking for trouble if he shuns a court order on his suspension. Appearing in a news chat yesterday, Mr. George, a former deputy national chairman of the party, advised Mr. Ayu to obey the court order to avoid problems. He urged the national legal advisor representing the party and the chairman to go to court and argue why the order should not hold. Mr. George further called for calm and unity in the party, adding that a divided house is a divided house.
Otherwise, this ship of PDP is taking in water. And as an old sailor, I don't want this ship to go down. Please appeal to all sides. Cool yourselves. I just heard the publicity secretary talking about this. If there is a court order, it's a court order. Whether you've seen it or not, do you want that some of us will be happy if they now issue an order, the police to arrest the chairman of our party to come because he has disobeyed an order? You go there. You have national legal advisor. You follow the rules. So I appeal to all. He has exercised certain rights that should have been moderated. You know, it's not a military organization. When you run a political association, you have people with characterization from 0 to infinity in behavior. And so when you continue to think you are an executive chairman, you can do whatever you like, whatever you say is
Meanwhile, Governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi, has asked President-elect Bola Tinubu to include Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, in his administration. Governor Umahi said Governor Wike, a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has a lot to offer Senator Tinubu, who contested the presidential election on the All Progressives Congress APC platform. The Ebonyi governor spoke yesterday at an event hosted by Governor Wike in Obeakwa local government area of Rivers. Governor Umahi said there is no way the story of the 2023 general election can be told without mentioning Governor Wike. Senator Tinubu polled 231,591 votes in Rivers State to defeat PDP standard bearer Atiku Abubakar and the flag bearer of the Labour Party Peter Obi in the presidential election, while Mr. Obi polled 175,071 votes. Mr. Abubakar scored 88,468 votes.
That is joke to say that, just like what he has done here, what the modest achievement we did in Ebonyi, and you say that you can win me in Ebonyi. It's a joke taken so far. Our people want performance. If you have performed as a governor, they will stand with you. But I also thank God Almighty, who had earmarked that, Asiwaju and Shetima would win. And look at the process of God. Asiwaju was very courageous, and Shetima made themselves available. God, directly and indirectly, made Governor Wike very much available. And so there is no way PC can conclude about the success of the election without mentioning Governor Wike. And they will be asking, Asiwaju Shetima to please bring Governor Wike to the core administration of the federal government. He has a lot to offer. He has a lot to offer for the unity of the country. And it's not all about party now. It's about the unity of the country. It's about how to move this country forward. It's about how to reunite our people. And I'm very happy that Asiwaju is thinking in this direction, and I want to thank him. So thanking him for making himself available. A man was expecting to win jackpot in America, but bought no coupon. And one day he was praying. God said to him, do me a favor and go and buy a coupon. So Asiwaju and Shetima, they bought coupon and they made themselves available. And I thank Mr. President Buhari, who insisted that he had no candidate and that whoever would win in our primary should. And that gave Asiwaju the lead. And I also thank the northern governors.
The Nigerian police force arrested 781 offenders for violation of electoral laws during the 2023 general election. The Inspector General of Police Usman Baba said this at a meeting with commissioners of police and senior officers to evaluate their performance during the 2023 elections. Mr. Baba said 185 cases of electoral infractions were recorded during the presidential election, with 203 arrests made. The governorship and state assembly elections stated that 304 electoral breaches were recorded and 578 offenders were arrested. He commended the senior police officers and the commanders and other ranks for their resilience, sacrifices, and professionalism.
Regardless of political persuasion, background, or influence, should place his or her personal interests above national interests. Accordingly, while admonishing all political actors and their followers to submit to democratic norms, peaceful means, and legal procedure in advancing their interests or seeking redress for their political concerns, I must firmly warn that the Nigeria Police and other security agencies shall not tolerate the resort to incitement or any act designed to threaten our national security. They are therefore advised in the strongest possible terms to henceforth draw back on current attempts to engender tension within the national security space to avoid attracting appropriate law enforcement response. In regard to this, feedbacks so far received across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT indicates that a total of 489 major electoral infractions, leading to the arrest of a total of 781 offenders, were recorded nationally. Both both during the presidential and National Assembly elections and the governorship and the State House of Assembly elections. While not less than 66 firearms of various descriptions were recovered from electoral adversaries.
While in Lagos, the State Deputy Governor, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, has addressed the allegations of ethnic profiling and voter intimidation against Musiliu Akinsoya, popularly known as MC Oluomo. In the lead-up to the March 18 governorship elections, MC Oluomo was captured on video cautioning Igbo voters who would not cast their ballots for the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, to stay at home. Dr. Hamzat, in a news charge this morning, said MC Oluomo must face the law if there is evidence pointing to his culpability. When quizzed whether he is in support of the APC supporters' arrest, the deputy governor said he was not calling for the arrest of anybody. Moving on, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, yesterday met with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC. The meeting was held to avert a nationwide strike after the NLC leadership issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to end the naira scarcity in the country. This was disclosed in a statement by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Olajide Oshundu, noting that the meeting was on the invitation of the minister. It disclosed that NLC team led by the National President, Comrade Joe Ajaero, and the General Secretary, Emmanuel Ogboja, met the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, alongside by 2 CBN Deputy Governors. In his remarks, the minister refuted the allegation of the NLC that his ministry did nothing about the matter. It said on receiving the letter from the NLC, he forwarded the same to the CBN Governor before traveling out of the country and directed the Permanent Secretary and Trade Union Services and Industrial Relations Department to follow up. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was an anti-apartheid activist who gave his all for the elimination of what has been described as the world's most vicious rule of the unjust and man's inhumanity against man. He was born July 18, 1918 in Mvezo, South Africa. Educated and trained as a successful legal practitioner, he took up the gauntlet of a human activist against segregation by the minority white suprematists in South Africa. At the climax of his trial for treason, orchestrated by the minority South African government, the great crusader for democratic equality was prepared to pay the supreme sacrifice to establish majority rule in his native land. He told white jurists that if achieving freedom for his people was worth his life, he was prepared to die. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in Robben Island, described as the most notorious prison in the world. It was from this same prison that he came out as a free man to assume office as South Africa's first black president in 1994. Western Spring Television identifies Nelson Mandela as a watershed character in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker, and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. first television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
Welcome back on Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. Now to the rest of the stories. Former United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson has called for a stronger mutually benefiting relationship between Nigeria and Britain. He said the partnership would further unleash the potentials of both countries. The former Prime Minister spoke in Lagos yesterday at the 16th Osigwe Anyam Osigwe Lecture Series with the theme Rehumanizing Human Experience. Mr. Johnson, who is still a 7 MP, in his keynote address, said now is the time for the two countries to work together as the world is so uncertain and some nations were disentangling. He noted that Nigeria can be a renewable superpower and still be a producer of oil and gas, adding that much more can be achieved together. In business, the House of Representatives will on April 11, 2023, grill ministers and other heads of ministries, departments and agencies over the alleged illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil valued at $2.4 billion. The House ad hoc committee to investigate alleged loss of over $2.4 billion in revenue from illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil export in 2015, including all crude oil exports and shows by Nigeria from 2014 to date, is handling the probe. The committee, in a notice to the invitees on Monday, also demanded memoranda from whistleblowers whose alarm had led to recovery of public funds from corrupt individuals and organizations. The committee invited 100 individuals, organizations, and groups, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPCL, Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, among others. In the U.S., regulators are seeking to ban the world's largest crypto trading platform, Binance, alleging that the firm has been operating in the country illegally. The lawsuit from the Commodity Futures Trading Commission said the firm failed to register properly with the U.S. authorities. It accused Binance of breaking numerous U.S. financial laws, including rules intended to thwart money laundering. Binance, however, defended its practices, stating that it had made significant investments to ensure that users in the U.S. were not active on a platform, including blocking users identified as American citizens or residents and those who had a U.S. mobile number. Founded in 2017, the company is now the world's largest centralized exchange for digital assets, claiming more than 100 million users globally. It is led by Chinese-born Canadian billionaire Changbin Zhao. Still in the U.S., 6 people, 3 children and 3 staff have been killed in the shooting by an ex-student at a school in the city of Nashville, Tennessee. 3 of the victims were pupils aged 9 or under. The police named them as Evelyn DeKirsch, Ali Shrugs, and William Kinney. The private Christian school where the shooting occurred has about 200 students. It teaches pupils from 3 years old up to around 12. Police said the suspect was 28-year-old named Andre Al, who identified as transgender since the shooting. President Joe Biden has renewed calls for Congress to take action on gun violence. President Joe Biden called the shooting a family's worst nightmare. The attack was America's 129th mass shooting of 2023, according to Gun Violence Archive, a nonprofit that tracks gun violence data.
I just want to speak very briefly about the school shooting in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, Ben and I have been doing this our whole careers, it seems. And it's just, it's sick. We're still gathering the facts of what happened and why. And we do know that as of now, there are a number of people who did not make it, including children. And it's heartbreaking, family's worst nightmare. And I want to commend the police who responded incredibly swiftly within minutes and the danger. We're monitoring the situation really closely, Ben, as you know, and we have to do more to stop gun violence. It's ripping our communities apart, ripping the soul of this nation, ripping at the very soul of the nation. And we have to do more to protect our schools so they aren't turned into prisons. The shooter in this situation reportedly had 2 assault weapons and a pistol, 2 AK-47. So I call on Congress again to pass my assault weapons ban.
To the Russia-Ukraine war, Germany and Britain have delivered the first consignment of battle tanks to Ukraine, providing much-needed ground support as Russian forces intensify attacks in the east of the country. The Leopard and Challenger tanks were promised to Kiev earlier this year and arrived yesterday just in time for an expected spring offensive by Ukraine's forces. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz told journalists yesterday that Berlin provided very modern Leopard battle tanks to Kiev, with the defense ministry later saying 18 were delivered. Ukraine's defense minister Oleksiy Rezkinov also confirmed the development, noting that he has already inspected the new additions to the country's forces. Meanwhile, Russia's Navy has test-fired supersonic anti-ship missiles at a mock target in the Sea of Japan. The Russian Defense Ministry made this known today, revealing that 2 ships launched a missile attack in a simulated enemy warship located about 62 miles away. The ministry said 2 Mosquito supersonic cruise missiles that have conventional and nuclear warhead capacity successfully hit their target. The Russian Navy's missile firing exercise comes a week after 2 Russian strategic bomber planes capable of carrying nuclear weapons flew over the Sea of Japan for more than 7 hours in what Moscow said was a planned flight. Now talking sport, Niger defeated Guinea-Bissau by a lone goal to avenge a humiliating Africa Cup of Nations qualifying loss to West African side 3 days ago. Moses Simon was the Nigerian scorer, converting a 30th minute penalty after Fali Kande fouled Bright Osai Samuel. Simon fired a spot kick into the right corner of the net as goalkeeper Jonas Mendes dived in the opposite direction. Desperate for the revenge, after a solitary goal loss to much lower-ranked Guinea-Bissau in Abuja last Friday, Portuguese coach Jose Peseiro made 5 changes, with nice forward Terry Murphy among those promoted. To Europe, the Republic of Ireland made a losing start to Euro 2024 qualifying as Benjamin Pavard's superb second-half goal gave France victory in Dublin. Having held the French in the first half of few chances, the Republic fell behind 5 minutes after restart when Pavard intercepted a Josh Cullen pass and fired past Gavin Pezzuno. The Republic put the beaten World Cup finalist under severe pressure late on, but fell short as Mike Maglan's stunning save denied Nathan Collins' late leveler. The Republic's next qualifier sees them travel to Greece on 16th of June. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. The lawmaker representing the Delta North constituency at the Imo State House of Assembly, Arthur Egwim, is dead. The National Population Commission says it has pulled up measures to guide against all forms of malpractices ahead of the forthcoming population and housing census. On the foreign scene, 6 people, 3 children and 3 staff have been killed in a shooting by an ex-student at a school in the U.S. city of Nashville, Tennessee. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12. I am Okoye Muni. Thanks for watching.